time has flown by, we are getting close to July, and it's time to pick out our reads for the month of July. So rather than just picking prompts from my little TBR prompt jar, I did introduce an idea last month where I picked 2 books out of my little TBR mug, which includes all of the books that I physically own but have not yet read. This was updated last like a year ago, so there's definitely a risk that I pull prompts or books that I have already read, or that some of my books are not in there, but I think it should be pretty up to date. So I'm thinking we will start with pulling 2 books, because in those cases I have no choice whatsoever. And then once I've done that, we will move on to our TBR jar to pick some prompts and the rest of our books. I can start off by saying that I have not done great on my June TBR at all. We are not yet at the end of the month. It is currently the 24th, but I do believe I have like 4 books left on my June TBR, and I did not choose that many books to read in the month of June. I'm in the middle of one of them, or not of those, but except for those 4. So that one I will definitely finish, but the other 4 I am not sure if I will get to them, but we will see and try as much as we can, and some months just don't turn out the same or as we expected. But yeah, I'm still happy with the reading that I did do. I feel like I did read a lot of audiobooks actually at work, and I didn't want to listen to only books that I physically own for audiobooks, so that is part of the reason. And then I also had this chunker, A Court of Silver Flames, to get through, so I did actually read that one, so I'm happy about that. So I'm happy with my reading. I just did not do great on my June TBR, I feel like. But we still have time. The month isn't over, and I am super excited to see what we will read in the month of July. Last month was definitely a very heavy month with the books that we picked. A lot of like sadder or heavier books. So I'm definitely hoping for something different than that this month. I'm thinking some fantasy. I've been kind of craving some new fantasies, especially with finishing off the ACOTAR series, but also like a thriller would be really nice, I feel like. But I'm pretty open for any book. So let's start by seeing which books we are pulling from the mug. Okay, we have one here. So the first book we picked was Villains, so that is from the Villains series by V.E. Schwab. However, I did actually read the second book in that series like last month or the month before, so that series as it is right now is finished, so we can throw that one out and let's pick a new one. So the book we are reading is Off to the Races. I'm actually going to put that one back because I have one more book to read in the Chestnut Springs series before I want to get into the Off to the Races series, so I'm holding on to that one for a bit longer. Third time's a charm, maybe? Let's see if we pull a book that we are actually going to read. Throne of Glass. Okay, are we doing that? Maybe we should actually, because I did finish ACOTAR, so that means that I can officially get into the Throne of Glass series, and I have been super excited to. And I did just say that I wanted to get into some more fantasy. Right, so I have the entire series, and I know that there's a lot of debate about whether to read The Assassin's Blade or Throne of Glass first. And honestly, I feel like it's pretty 50-50. But I think I've decided to read The Assassin's Blade first. I feel like I've just heard a little bit more like good stories about doing that. Maybe I'm making the wrong choice, but in that case I guess I will just make the wrong choice. But I think I will start with The Assassin's Blade when reading the Throne of Glass series. But yeah, I'm beyond excited because everyone has talked so highly about this series, and basically everyone has loved this series so much more than the ACOTAR series, which I did enjoy ACOTAR, but I feel like I gave most books like 4 stars and I had 0 5 stars in that series. So I have high hopes for this. Also, I thought this was a pretty short book, but it's like still over 400 pages. The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas is the first book on my July TBR. And let's pick the second book that we do not get to choose. I had to think there for a moment because I was like, did I not already read that? But that was The Midnight Library. I have not read The Wishing Game yet, but I have it here. It's by Meg Schaefer. And I'm not sure what this is about. I feel like it's like a magical realism story. Maybe it is just more so a fantasy. It's under 300 pages, which is pretty nice. Okay, so this seems like a very like heartwarming book. V.E. Schwab has actually blurbed this, so that gives me high hopes. And a blurb here says, part Willy Wonka, part magical realism, and wholly moving. Okay, so that's exactly what I'm craving actually. So The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer is the second book on my July TBR. That is actually super exciting. I'm so happy about the books that we've picked so far, and now we are moving on to our prompt jar to pick out some prompts. So I do have a little more of a say in the books that I'm about to pick. But again, I am super happy about the books that we have already chosen. I have previously thrown back the prompts that I've used back into the TBR jar, but I think I will start to just like remove them from the jar as soon as we've used them, just to kind of get more of a variety. And then once they're all gone, I will either refill it with new prompts or put the prompts back in. I feel like that's how most people do it, and I kind of get why. So let's see what the first prompt is. I think I will pull like 4 prompts. I'm hoping to be able to pick my book club pick for the month of July. We actually have 2 books that we're reading in July, so I should be able to pick one of them, and if not, I will just read those aside from the books that I do pick. Prompt number 1 is book set in an imaginary world. Okay, so I guess the TBR gods heard me when I said I wanted fantasy. So we're starting the Throne of Glass series. I do not want to start a new fantasy series, but we do have some standalones as well, I think, or like books where I like only the first book is out. See, this is where my difficulty to choose comes in again. I could put Fearless on there for like the 100th time. Should I? Maybe I just should, honestly. I feel like it's getting so boring, but I have put this on several TBRs before, but I just haven't gone to it. But this is the last part of the Powerless trilogy. I do also have the novella Fearful, so maybe I'll read that as well, or maybe I will wait with that one until a different month. I just feel like I'm kind of intimidated by this one because I've heard so many mixed reviews, or like honestly like lower reviews, but I am still excited to finish off the series. So yeah, Fearless by Lauren Roberts will be the third book on my July TBR. So on to prompt number 2 and book number 4, I guess. A book you've had for a long time. Okay, I mean, I've had The Wishing Game for a very long time, but let's see what else we have. I'm thinking I will actually pick our book club book for this, because that was a book that I did already own before we picked it, and it is one of the first books that I picked up at a bookstore when I first got back into reading again, and that is The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell. This is a thriller, and I have read like 2 of her books previously, and she is kind of like a different thriller author than I'm used to. I feel like she writes a bit, like, I don't want to call them slow, but I guess they are a bit slower moving than some other thrillers. But I did really enjoy None of This Is True by her. So, 1 house, 2 families, 3 bodies. In a large house in London's fashionable Chelsea, a baby is awake in her cot. Well fed and cared for, she is waiting for someone to pick her up. In the kitchen lie 3 corpses. Close to them is a hastily scrawled note. They've been dead for several days. Who's been looking after the baby, and where did they go? Okay, so that sounds very intriguing. And since it is the book club book, I will have to read this one anyway, so this will be the 4th book on my July TBR. On to book number 3. I feel like we have like, okay, we do have mostly fantasies on there, but I am happy with that. It wouldn't hurt with like a lit fic or maybe like a romance, but I guess we will see what the jar picks for us. So on to prompt number 3 and book number 5. A debut novel. Okay, I will have to do some research on this one, I feel like. A debut novel. I'm thinking maybe Homegoing by Gyasi. Is that a debut novel? I'm gonna have to grab my phone and see if Homegoing by Gyasi could be a debut novel. Okay, this one is a debut novel. I'm also looking at Raising Hair, which I did put on my June TBR, but have not gotten to yet, and I don't think I will get to it. It is, okay. That gives us at least 2 options, and I think I'm gonna stop there because I think I do want to read one of these because they are both like lit fics or like general fiction. This one is actually historical fiction. I'm thinking for summer, since this is quite a heavy book, I'm thinking Raising Hair by Chloe Dalton. So I did mention a bit about this one in my last TBR video, but this one is about, like, this is a memoir, I think, about Chloe, obviously, who has found like a newborn hare, and she kind of feels compelled to give it a chance at survival, even though she doesn't usually really tend to like love animals, I guess. So then this is the story of their lives together, I guess, and we are seeing the hare like kind of grow up in a way. It has like some beautiful illustrations at the beginning of each chapter, which I love. I'm just super intrigued by this one and to see what this one is like, because I did see a Dutch YouTuber rate this really highly and talk about this in a way where it kind of instantly made me interested to read it as well, so that's why I got it. And it's one of my most recent purchases as well, so that makes me extra motivated to kind of get to it. Raising Hair by Chloe Dalton will be the 5th book on my July TBR. And that means we have one last book to pick for the TBR. Let's see what we will get. I'm hoping for maybe like a romance or like a lighter read, just because it is summer. Book that won an award. So none of the books I'm picking up have won awards. Okay, so I'm actually gonna like Google award-winning books or something and see if there's any that I own. We do have one, which is All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. I did read a Second World War book this month, so I'm just gonna check if they have something else. I'm just honestly trying kind of hard not to put this one on my TBR because I just feel like it's kind of not ideal to read 2 World War II books like 2 months in a row, but I guess I will if I can't find any other. You know what, we're just gonna go with it. I'm sure that there are a lot of award-winning books on my shelves, but I just don't know about it. So yeah, this one is the one that I found, and that is All the Light We Cannot See, which has won the Pulitzer Prize, if that's what it's called. And yeah, it's a story about World War II in Paris, so at least it's in a different country than the last World War II book that I read, because that one was set in Poland. And that is basically all I know about it. I feel like it's pretty chunky. Yeah, it's like almost 550 pages long. I'm adding it to the TBR. That means that these are all of the books that I'm attempting to read in the month of July. We have Fearless by Lauren Roberts, which is a fantasy. We have The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas, which is also a fantasy. We have The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer, which is like a magical realism, I believe. We have The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell, which is a thriller. Raising Hair, which is a like general fiction, literary fiction. And All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr, which is a historical fiction. I am also adding Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez to the TBR because that is the second book that we are reading for book club this month. And this one is a romance. That is the first part of her new, I think, interconnected standalone series, I'm pretty sure. And I love this cover because it has a golden retriever that looks just like my Daisy, so that is super cute. And I'm excited to get to that one as well. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Do not forget to press that like button if you did, and if you want to see more bookish content, do not forget to press that subscribe button. I hope to see you guys again in my next video. Until then, take care.